Now we want to set up network management systems services. And then assuming that SD card has already Raspberry Pi operating systems installed, and that is plugged in the Raspberry Pi. Now Raspberry Pi is up and running. Now open up the terminal. Trying to enlarge the font size. Four of the network software packages needs to be installed. hostapd, dnsmasqd, netfilter-persistent, and iptables-persistent. The first we need to install hostapd. Okay, the command for that is sudo apt install hostapd, host access point daemon. Okay, let's see what happens. Okay, it looks like sounds good. And then we have to enable wireless access point service and set it to start when your Raspberry Pi boots. So the command is sudo systemctl unmask hostapd. And then another command is sudo systemctl enable hostapd. The second network management software package to install is dnsmasqd. As you install dnsmasqd, then DNS service and DHCP services are ready. So the command is sudo apt install dnsmasq. Okay, finally, we need to install netfilter-persistent and its plugins iptables-persistent. So command is sudo debian underscore front end equal non-interactive followed by apt install -y. -y means we do not need to answer yes to all interactive questions. So automatically yes. And then to uh, the packages netfilter dash persistent and iptables dash persistent. Now we need to configure network router. First, to define network interface IP configuration, let's go ahead and create. No, we have to edit DHCP CD files, and there is a DHCP cd.conf file under etc. So I'm going to use a VI. All right. Once the file is open, uh, move to the end of the file and add the following: interface WLAN 0 static IP underscore address equals 192.168.4.1.1/24. Next line, no hook WPA underscore supplicant. Okay, next configuration is to let the wireless client access computers on the main network. That is, to do that, we have to create a file under etc sysctl.d directory. Okay, there we have to create routed-ap.config. That file is not available, so we now create that file. And inside that file, we need to put as a reference under the comment the URL of a Raspberry Pi documentations for wireless access point route. And then another comment is enable IPv4 routing. And then the statements that we need to put there is to enable routing will allow host from the network, okay, to reach the LAN and the main router towards the internet. So that's forwarding mechanism is needed. The statements for that is net.ipv4.ip underscore forward equal 1. in order to allow traffic between clients on your laptop and then through your Raspberry Pi to the internet without changing the configuration, the Raspberry Pi can substitute the IP address of a wireless client with its own IP address. So that is the masquerade firewall rule can do that. So there is a command called sudo iptables -t nat -a post routing -o ith0 -j masquerade. Okay, so and then we have to save that rule. All right, let's see if the filtering rules are saved to the directory etc/iptables. Okay, ls, and then there are two files created. All right, that's created. And if we want to see one of those, using more command, here we go. Now we need to configure the DHCP and DNS services. Um, there's another configuration file, dnsmasqd configuration file under etc. So we need to move it to another file, change the file name using mv command. Now we need to create dnsmasqd file using vi editor. And we need to add interface DHCP, the dynamic, the IP address, the range of the dynamic IP address, and then domain, the address of the router. As you can see on the screen. Okay. Next thing is to ensure wireless operation. Each country has different the Wi-Fi country code. In America, we use US as Wi-Fi country code, uppercase U, uppercase S. To ensure Wi-Fi radio, the Wi-Fi radio wave is not blocked on your Raspberry Pi, we have to execute the following command. The last but not the least configuration is to configure the access point software. So we need to create hostapd. So hostapd.conf file should be under etc slash hostapd slash hostapd.com. Inside this hostapd.conf file, this is a little bit longer lines of code. Country code should be stated. So country underscore code equal US. Interface equal WLAN0. SSID equal, and we name it, okay? No quote, just name it. And then Wi-Fi mode should be G. So HW MODE equals G. That is IEEE 802.11 A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So that is that mode. By having that HW underscore mode equals G, our router is ready to serve 2.4 gigahertz. And the next line is a channel equals 7, which is remember that added to that 11, we have if it is 2.4 gigahertz the frequency band, then there are 11 channels available. So we're going to set the 7 for the channels. The next line is a MAC address underscore ACL that is set to 0, and auth underscore algorithm ALGS equal 1. Ignore broadcast SSID equals 0 and WPA equal 2. WPA underscore password passphrase equal. Here you need to set your password. Okay, I put there like that, Mercy Manhattan, and WPA underscore key underscore MGMT equal WPA dash PSK, WPA underscore pairwise equal TKIP, RSN underscore pairwise equal CCNP. Okay, I think this is pretty much the configuration that we need to do. Okay, now we're ready to run our Raspberry Pi based access points. So restart um, by having the following commands: sudo systemctl reboot. Okay, now we can find the SSID from our cell phone or from our laptop. We can connect it. All right. One thing that you need to make sure that your Raspberry Pi has an Ethernet port, and I know you have a Ethernet cable category 8. So now you can plug that into your Raspberry Pi at one side, and then at the other end of that Ethernet cable to your router, home router. Then you can receive all the internet resources from, I mean, through the Raspberry Pi to your client devices. Okay, this is it. Thank you.